Hey guys, it's Elisa. Welcome to our fifth imitation or mimicking lesson. So I am at the beach right now, and today we're going to talk about a complaint that I have. I want to get your guys' opinion about it. All right, so let's get right into our lesson. So the whole purpose of this lesson is to help you guys become better English speakers and to help you guys have better, more natural sounding conversations. So we're going to do this by improving your pronunciation, your intonation, your tone, your connected speech. We are also going to make sure that you guys are aware of just some of the little colloquialisms, some of the little things that we say as English speakers, kind of the way that we phrase things or words that we tend to say. I will point that out to you guys at the end of the lesson. So if you already know how this works and you've done a lesson with me before, you can go here in the video and get started. If you are new here or you need a refresher on what we're going to do, we're going to break this lesson down into 4 different parts. So I've written a little monologue, and in the first part, I'm going to say it and you are just going to listen. Just kind of pay attention to the way that my voice flows, my facial expressions, those kinds of things. But you don't have to do anything other than listen. In the second part of the lesson, I'm going to say the monologue again, but this time I am going to slow down a lot, and I want you to repeat what I say. So in this part, you're really going to be working on your pronunciation and really working on making sure that you're hearing all of the different sounds and syllables of a word so that you are saying it correctly. If you're someone that has an accent, and you probably do, then this will help you to lessen your accent as well. In the third part of the video, I'm going to say it at normal speed, maybe a little bit slower than normal speed, and you're going to shadow me. And that just means you're going to say this monologue at the same time that I am. Don't worry, for part 2 and part 3, the words will be up on the screen so that you can read along. You can also look in the description. There's a link to the script if you would like to look at it that way. So in the fourth and final part of the lesson, I'm going to point out some things that us natives just kind of say. It might be vocabulary, it might be the way that we phrase things, the way that we use certain words. I'm going to point a few of those things out to you so that you can add this to your vernacular or your way of speaking. All right, so part 1, you are just going to listen to me. I ask you some questions at the end, and I really am curious to hear what you have to say, so feel free to answer my questions in the comments below. Before I get into it, it's important to note, and I note this in all of my imitation lessons, I'm going to say this just as if I was talking to a friend today. My friend is you. I'm complaining to you, and you're being my friend, and you're listening, you're hearing me out. It's important to say that because I want you guys to know that this is exactly how I would regularly say this. I'm not changing any words to make it easier or harder for you or to teach you something special. This is just how I speak. Have you guys ever searched for buried treasure? I have not. I think the whole concept is crazy and a waste of time. I am at the beach right now, and every time there is a storm and the tide comes in more than usual, the next morning there are people out there looking for buried treasure. They come out with their metal detector. They dig through seashells. I think they look crazy. One man even started digging what I think looked like crop circles one day. But it's not for me to determine what someone can do with their time. But this to me seems like the most gigantic waste of time someone can possibly do. Would you do this? I mean, I get it if you're going to look for seashells and try to find one that's really pretty and bring it home. But there's not a metal detector required for that. Even if you did find something that someone dropped, like someone's gold watch. I would feel bad taking it because it belongs to someone else and they probably miss it and they lost it and it was probably important to them. I don't know that I would feel good about taking it. What do you guys think? Is it up for grabs at this point? I guess somebody's gonna take it. You guys tell me, would you spend your time doing this? Before you answer, I would like to remind you that it is winter and I may be at the beach, but it's cold outside. All right, you guys, so that is it for part 1. I was actually going to film this by the window so that you guys could see the ocean behind me, but the lighting didn't work out and it looked super dark and you couldn't see the ocean, which is a bummer because it's actually a really, really beautiful day outside and it's not super cold. I did see someone out with their metal detector and I took a little video to show you guys proof of what I am saying. My mom is actually here right now and I was talking to her about it last night and I said, I don't understand why anyone would spend their time doing this. And she made a good point. She said, it depends on how you value your time. And that's true. So, all right. Anyway, enough of that. I actually am curious to see what you guys think of this. Somebody is probably going to be like, I once found something that was worth $1 million. And then I will stand corrected and be completely wrong. And we should all get out there with our metal detectors and start, I don't know, digging up holes in the beach. Some people actually dig up holes. I did take a picture of the crop circles that I want to show you guys. Forgive the picture. It was a really cloudy day. Because it was raining the day before and it was really stormy. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys these things because it's just wild and weird. I think it's weird. Do you guys think it's weird? Maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I should be out there doing this. I don't know. Actually, I truly want your opinion. Give me your thought. We're going to go on to part 2 because I'm going to keep complaining if we don't move on. So anyway, in this part, you guys are going to repeat after me. The words will be up on the screen and you can take a look in the description below if you want to see the script. It's in the link down there. I'm going to slow down quite a bit so that you guys can really pay attention to my pronunciation. So kind of in part 1, you get the tone and the intonation and all of those things. But in part 2, we're really focusing on pronunciation, hearing all of those sounds, listening for all the syllables, listen to the S's, the D's, the T's, those consonants at the end of words so that you guys can hear them. We absolutely do say them. They're just not super loud. So make sure that you are paying attention to those things and you are saying that in this part. That's why we do it. Have you guys ever searched for buried treasure? I have not. I think the whole concept is crazy and a waste of time. I am at the beach right now. And every time there is any kind of storm, and the tide comes in more than usual, the next morning there are people out there looking for buried treasure. They come out with their metal detector. They dig through seashells. I think they look crazy. One man actually started digging what I think looked like crop circles one day. But it's not for me to determine what someone can do with their time. But this to me seems like the most gigantic waste of time someone can possibly do. Would you do this? I mean, I get it. If you're going to look for seashells and try to find one that's really pretty and bring it home. But there's not a metal detector required for that. Even if you find something someone dropped, like a gold watch, I would feel bad taking it because it belongs to someone else. And they probably miss it, and they lost it, and it was probably important to them. I don't know that I would feel good about taking it. What do you guys think? Is it up for grabs at this point? I guess somebody's gonna take it. You guys tell me, would you spend your time doing this? Before you answer, I would like to remind you that it is winter. And I may be at the beach, but it is cold outside. Yay, we're done with part 2. One thing I want to point out to you is the word probably. This word can be said 2 different ways. Both are correct. And to be honest, I say it both ways. I don't really have a reason for saying it both ways, but I do. So one way is probably. The other one is probably. So you can say it with 2 syllables or 3 syllables, and a lot of people will say it both ways. Some people only have one way of saying it. One is not better than the other. I think I most likely will say probably with 3 syllables when I'm emphasizing something. The way you say something, I've said this so many times, but the way you say something in English is like 75% of speaking. It really is. So if you're slowing down, you're speeding up, you start enunciating, ooh, that probably means you're mad. That's going to change the tone. It's going to change how someone receives the words that you're saying, which is why tone is so important. You get a lot of the tone in part 1. Even just pointing out in part 1, I say, I think it's fine, or I think I can understand if you're looking for seashells. But did you see the way I said it? Clearly, I don't understand. I don't understand if you're looking for seashells on the beach. One time I was walking on the beach and this woman handed me a seashell and she was like, I'm giving these to everyone. And I'm thinking, I'm walking on the same beach you are. If I want a seashell, I can pick it up and get it myself. But anyway, I took it and I said, thank you. But this kind of just goes to show you, I'm saying one thing. I'm saying, oh yeah, sure. It's totally fine if you're, looking for shells on the beach. But you can tell by the way I'm saying it, I don't think it's fine. I mean, maybe if you're like a kid, but for an adult, really? That's just me being judgy. So I'm saying one thing, but I clearly mean another. I did a video on advanced vocabulary, and one of the words I use is insincere. And take a look at that video if you don't know what that word means, because me saying that I think it's fine if you do this, if you're just looking for shells on the beach, is the perfect example of someone being insincere with what they're saying. It all ties together. I'll make sure I link that in the description below, or I'll put it as one of the end cards at the end of this video. All right, so it is time for part 3, shadow me. So that means you're gonna say this monologue at the same time that I do. The words will be up on the screen so you can follow along with me. And then again, if you would prefer, there is a link in the description below with a copy of the script. Let's get going. Have you guys ever searched for buried treasure? I have not. I think the whole concept is crazy and a waste of time. I am at the beach right now, and every time there is any kind of storm and the tide comes in more than usual, the next morning there are always people out looking for buried treasure. They come out with their metal detectors, they dig through seashells. I think they look crazy. One man actually started digging what I think looks like crop circles one day, but it's not for me to determine what someone can do with their time. But this to me seems like the most gigantic waste of time someone can possibly do. Would you do this? I mean, I get it if you are looking for seashells and you're trying to find one that's really pretty and bring it home. But there's not a metal detector required for that. Even if you did find something someone dropped, like someone's gold watch, I would feel bad taking it because it belongs to someone else and they probably miss it and they lost it and it was probably important to them. I don't know if I would feel good about taking it. What do you guys think? Is it up for grabs at that point? I guess somebody's gonna take it. You guys tell me. Would you spend your time doing this? Before you answer, I would like to remind you that it is winter and I may be at the beach, but it's cold outside. All right, you guys, I have to point out, I mentioned the word probably earlier, and guess what? I said it the other way. And as I was going over that, I realized it in real time, but that was also just the natural thing that came out. Just like naturally, the last time I said it, I did it with probably the 2-syllable way instead of probably the 3-syllable way. So there you go. People do it interchangeably. There's no difference in the meaning. Do what you want. Freedom to choose how you'd like to say that word. Sometimes there are words like that, and when we come across those, I will definitely try to point those out. All right, so time for part 4. So this is gonna be quick. I just wanna point out a few words that I use that are kind of important if you really do wanna sound like a native English speaker, at least like an American. So I use the word actually. I say, one man actually started digging what I think looks like crop circles. So I say he actually started digging this. And actually is not important in order for you to understand the basic words or meaning that I'm saying in this sentence. Taking actually out does not change the meaning of the sentence. So technically it is not necessary, but it is necessary for my tone. There's a lot of tone in this monologue. Did you guys hear it? There was some attitude in this one. Because I have some complaints. These are my real complaints. So I use actually to emphasize what I'm saying. When I use actually, I'm almost saying, can you believe this? This actually happened. This happened. This is real. I'm saying to you, what I'm about to say should not be a real thing. You might not think it's a real thing, but it is. Literally, is another way you could do this. So I could have said, one day this guy was literally out there making crop circles. And it would have had that same tone, that same emphasis, that same meaning of, can you believe this joker did this? I'm going to tell you this, but I shouldn't have to because this should not exist. But it actually does. Adding in actually, adding in literally is definitely something you want to do if you want to sound more like a Native American speaker. It's something that, I mean, how much you do it really does depend on how you talk. The amount that I do it is probably the correct amount. because it's not too much, but it is something that I do say quite a bit. So kind of like so, I went over that in the first imitation lesson of just the way that we use so for no reason. It's for a reason, it's for tone. If you kind of just pay attention to the videos that I do, I try my best to speak naturally and not really like plan things out so it doesn't sound unnatural. You'll see me use words like actually when I'm just talking to you guys. So that kind of gives you an idea of how often you would do it. I think I only did it one time in this monologue. So maybe in a conversation, you throw it in once or twice, probably not more than that, unless you're like really going after something. So if you're like really complaining, you are hot. Then you might use it more because you're really emphasizing things. But in general, I mean, I was complaining, but it was kind of in a jokey way. It's not that serious. I don't care what these people are doing out there. Don't hurt the beach and we're all good. If you want to like find someone's gold watch and waste your time, you do you. But actually kind of is signaling, I think this is ridiculous when I use it in this way. So you should add that to your vernacular. I also want you to notice the way that I use the word but. I mean, I use it in the normal way. It's a conjunction and it just is introducing an opposing idea. That's exactly how I use it. But notice the tone, the way that I use it with the tone. So I use it a couple of times. I say, one man actually started digging what I think looks like crop circles, but it's not for me to determine what someone can do with their time. So basically I'm saying, y'all are ridiculous. You're crazy, ridiculous, you're wasting your time, you losers. But I'm gonna soften this a little bit. I don't wanna sound like a Scrooge. So even though I 100% believe everything I said, I'm gonna make myself look a little bit better. I'm gonna make myself look a little bit nicer. And I'm just going to add but and then say something that softens it a little bit, that makes it sound like I don't think you're totally nuts. Hey, do what you want to do with your time. It's up to you. So I do that. And then I like come right back at you and tell you that you're wasting your time and you're ridiculous. And I do that again with the word but. So the next sentence I say is, but this to me seems like the most gigantic waste of time that someone can do. And so you see how I kind of navigated that there. Basically, I'm ranting about how crazy you are, but then I like slide in something to make it a little bit softer. And then I go right back to saying, you're nuts. And so that's just how I use but, and that's a lot of times, unless you're really serious. So I am definitely seriously complaining. These are my real complaints. But like, I don't actually care what they're doing with their time because I'm not super serious. I don't want to come across as being too mean. And so that's why I slide in that sentence that kind of softens the blow using but. But I'm also being authentic and I want to keep ranting. So I'm going to use but to transition back into my rant. So that's kind of how I did that there. I do the same thing later again when I say, I could understand if you were looking for seashells. Instead of using but to kind of introduce me softening the blow, I use the words I mean. So I mean is, again, these words aren't that meaningful within themselves, but I'm using I mean to like transition. So you can say I mean to emphasize, like ratchet up your point, or you can say I mean to soften it a little bit and be a little bit less aggressive or mean with your complaint. So it just depends. If you're serious and you really are pissed off, you're going to use I mean, this is what you shouldn't be doing. You're so crazy. You're going to ratchet it up. In my case, I'm softening it a little bit. You kind of see, if you go back and you look at the monologue, you can see I'm kind of ranting and then I soften it. And then I rant and then I soften it. And so I soften it when I'm saying, okay, you're looking for some pretty seashells, whatever, I get it. But then I'll go back to my rant. I use even if to transition back into my rant. I use but again to transition back into my rant when I say, but a metal detector is not required for that. So I'm using these transition words, mostly but, to go in my rant, out of my rant, in my rant, out of my rant. Now that's important because the overall tone is, yes, I'm complaining, but it's a little bit of a playful complaint. And if I don't do that, then it might come across angry and aggressive. And I'm not angry. I'm actually just curious and, quite frankly, really amused at the fact that I actually will take pictures and send them to people like, look at these people looking at these shells. I showed you guys. So I'm really quite amused by this. And I want to make sure that that comes across, that I'm joking. I'm not actually angry. And so the transitioning in and out of the rant is what allows, hopefully, for that to come across. Let me know if this was helpful. If you liked this video, like it, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Y'all know the YouTubey things to do.